Commander Cockings and Captain Freddy here, yet again for another Trekyards mission briefing, your weekly Wednesday dose of awesome Trek discussion. As you know, you all know, we take a ship, station, shuttle, anything behind me, discuss, theorise, and ask what you guys think and what you guys know in the comments down below to help with the full episode later on down the line. But Stuart, what are we doing today?
We're going to look at an arch enemy, or a nemesis, if you will. That would be the Scimitar from Nemesis.
Yes.
The Reman ship
Yes.
that kind of kicked some ass.
Arguably one of those powerful ships in Trek?
Yeah, I would say, maybe.
Yeah. So I think this is an easy one. When I always ask the question, what was the thing you first thought? Because I think we all remember where we were when we saw Nemesis. However we felt. What did you think when you first saw this on the screen in Nemesis in 2004? Later than that, I think, but in Nemesis.
I thought it was a predator. Because they said so.
They really did, yes.
Like 42 disruptor banks, or 42 photon torpedoes, what was it? Something like that?
Yeah, it's that, and then like 30 torpedoes. It's ridiculously well armed.
Yeah, it's a big hulking, it's a battleship. It's definitely a battleship.
It's a death machine.
Yeah.
It's beyond battleship.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was your thought though? Because they said predator. What did you think? Design-wise and whatnot.
I was just blown away. I mean, this thing looked mean. This is the meanest looking ship in Star Trek that I could ever remember really seeing it to that point. It just looks evil. It's got all those sharp points, and it looks, it just looks mean. I just don't know what else to say. So what did you think, though?
I liked it. It's an interesting one because now we're post the JJ universe, where a big criticism of Into Darkness is it's just a bigger ship. This is obviously the precursor to that, and yet I didn't think it's just a bigger, more powerful ship. Because it's Reman, which we see them being a very aggressive. I know we've never seen before. Well, it would be great to have seen before, but this was built by them in secret to be a real kick-ass ship. The Romulans have good weapon tech anyway, it'll be based off that. But I mean, most of the time in Star Trek, I think the Dominion battlecruiser is a similar one. You don't often build we don't often see a ship that's built just equipped with a bajillion weapons because they're built for different purposes. I think an equivalent for Starfleet would be the Excalibur class. That big ship that has a lot of weapons as well. This one is that to the extreme, and I didn't find that ridiculous because people do that sometimes. And if it's built to be a single ship that kicks ass, and it wasn't.
Especially, sorry, I gotta jump in. Especially since it's a Reman ship, and they would probably be having to fight the Romulans, because it was built in secret. And then we know the Romulans have the warbirds, which are huge and very powerful. So this thing has to outmatch and outgun those. So I mean, yeah, of course it makes sense that it's so powerful.
I mean, I love you said that because not just outmatch and outgun, but outmatch and outgun a fleet of them. Because I can't imagine the Remans have 10 of these, 20 of these in a fleet. This is the sort of ship that, I mean, especially can fire while cloaked. This is a single ship designed to take on anything, and especially the Dominion War, I think is just finished. Or is just at the end of this. Can't remember which way around. So
the movies are kind of odd that way because why isn't the Enterprise in the thick of battle? But anyway.
Wow. So this ship is obviously also in that mindset of these Dominions have very, very large ships, very powerful. And I'm pretty sure there's side canon where this ship did fight in the Dominion War, like the early versions, and it did very, very well as like a stealth ship. You know what I mean? I mean, in terms of against Dominion fleet, this is perfect. Firewall cloaked, enough guns to blow through anything. Very, very powerful shields. I mean, the Enterprise E is no stickler. It's a powerful, powerful ship with the best phasers and the best torpedoes. And it didn't damage this ship. Throughout the entire battle, it really didn't do anything. And then you think two Valdors, which are also the strongest ships, we assume the strongest ships of the Romulan fleet, also didn't do anything. It was through very radical maneuvers it was able to be defeated, sort of thing. But no, design-wise, I think it's a great design. I love... It's a bit more Klingon-y to me, but it's just a curve through the wings, really. That's really all it is. But it has
let's move on to the next picture before we start talking about some of that stuff.
Yes,
because you can see it better here.
Yes, good decision. It's a bat. I think this shot is a bat.
Yes.
But it's very sleek. It's very sleek. It's compressed. It's compact. But it's got such a distinct design cue. And it's big, but it's not it's not unrealistically big. I think if you, and there's a scale chart later on. I'm gonna just be sneaking look at that now, but not show you guys because you'll see it later. the actual size of the ship is about the same size as the body. It's just the wings make it feel bigger. So it's not a massive jump forward. It's just a jump. So it never made me feel as if... I mean, again, the Pterodactyl is a huge jump, yet we never thought, oh, it's just a bigger, badder ship. No. So these sorts of evolutions in scale do happen, and unlike just the bigger for the sake of it, because it was bigger, I'd have been more impressed if if the Vengeance was smaller and could do more, So I really liked it, and I thought it was a very devastating ship in the movie. I think I said earlier it could be one of the strongest ships in the entire Star Trek universe of this class. I mean, obviously you've got like Doomsday Machine and things that are a different class. But yeah, really interesting ship with a lot of cool detail. Even though the movie's not the best, really, really interesting.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned the bat motif because it kind of strays away a little bit from the Romulan. They use birds of prey, like birds, that, but the Remans live in darkness, so it makes sense to have that bat motif, which is still a predator, more or less, and it's definitely intimidating looking. It's got the leathery feel, like the hull looks almost leathery. And yeah, like you said, I believe that the main body of the ship's basically the same size as the Enterprise E. So those wings, we know why the wings are there. We know why they're so big. Get into that later. But they do serve a purpose, and it adds to the overall menacing appearance of the ship without really being that much bigger. I mean, yeah, it's bigger. But
there's reasons for everything in this ship, which I like. And it's funny, we've seen the movie many times, we've talked about things, but I never really considered this as being a bat. And like you say, leathery skin, all that things, it's so obvious, but I never really clicked. This is why Trekyards are so great, we really discuss these things. But
it even has like ears.
I wish we'd seen more of it. I mean, this would have been amazing if DS9 had finished after, like, a little while after Nemesis had time to, use the assets. It would have been great to have seen like the final battle of DS9. One of these zooming in and going past and kicking some ass. Like, the Romulans have seen, oh, the Remans have a ship like this. Let's steal one or build our own, and then use it, because my god, that would have been effective. Although, just to talk about the capabilities for a second, so it is kind of an OP ship, overpowered. What do you think about firing through cloak? Because it's not its biggest threat, ironically, but the concept of firing through cloak and the way they used it. What do you think?
I think it's brilliant because that is the next evolution, design-wise, both weaponry and, well, just overall battle effectiveness is to be able to fire while cloaked. And the Klingons did do it prior with the bird of prey, but it just makes sense as far as having a supreme tactical advantage. That's what you want. So this is definitely the next evolution of technology. And I think it was an incredible idea to do that because it's so menacing to be being attacked by something you can't see.
Which double reinforces the idea of a bat, because you're fighting the black of space. You're not going to be able to see a bat.
My hair.
Yeah, exactly. Which this is some actual serious imagery that I never thought that's actually in the movie. It's kind of silly, actually. And even just this shot, I mean, it's the Enterprise E is very nicely lit, whereas that's relatively less lit. It's a dark ship. Yeah, I always liked firewall cloaked, and I thought it is the ultimate advantage. I mean, we saw in Star Trek 6 that it should have, would have, could have destroyed, everybody. That was the ultimate advantage in that movie. The fact that it didn't go up much after that is a problem. But I like that the Romulans didn't discover this tech. It was the Remans. Like, maybe they had a different take on the cloak that was not readily, but was available from the Romulans, to make something this powerful. But it's certainly something... Although, like we saw in the battle, it's not the end-all be-all because, triangulate the weapons fire. It's not like every time it shoots, you've got the exact location. So if you're in a fleet of ships, it's zooming through, you can see every single hit, and if you're triangulating your weapons computers, you can all be firing. I mean, it's not like the end-all strategy. That's why I think it's so well-armed, and that's why I think it's so big, because it's designed to zoom in, have this initial barrage that either annihilates, like we saw in the movie, the warp drive for the Enterprise E, or shields, or engines, or even the view screen. It's got that first barrage because it is actually a little bit susceptible. Even if its shields are so powerful, a fleet can do damage. So it's going to go in and just wipe out hits in a sort of a first strike maneuver.
Yeah. Well, let's actually move on to the
Yep.
next picture real quick. This is the
Huh.
John Eves original concept art, which is again incredible. John Eves does amazing concept art, and this thing, it's not exactly like it appears on screen,
No, it
but
doesn't.
it's definitely very cool looking. I don't know.
This
Do
one
you prefer this
feels.
better or the final version?
I don't know. This one feels a lot smaller to me,
It does, yeah,
and
yeah, it
that's
does.
mostly because there is window detail on the top in the middle. There is bridge window detail, which says roughly how big it is, and it feels much more Enterprise E scale. I do like when I point it out to you, I'm sure you'll see it, that if you look at the wings, they're not actually attached fully. There's a separate
Yeah.
wing module which has disrupted looking, which is much more
Mm-hmm.
continuity of, say, a Klingon design, which I kind of like the idea of. And you've got low disruption in it, and all the points feel much more gun in this, whereas in the Scimitar, the one we know, it all blends into one design, and in fact the guns don't actually come out of the wings. That's the other. Like, I don't even think this would be a split. I don't think that has been developed yet because it doesn't have that same feel. Whereas in this one, every point that exits the ship, it looks like a disruptor of some kind, which would fit into the weapon. Although, is it asymmetrical because it's got a
Yeah, I
cannon?
was wondering that myself.
Huh?
It does look kind of odd.
'Cause it's got one at the
Although,
top of the one. Huh?
the one thing that's always kind of bugged me about this ship,
Hmm.
does it not feel very Jem'Hadar battleship to you,
Mm-hmm.
basic design wise?
Yes. Yes, it does. It's a Jem'Hadar meets a Romulan warbird. That's.
Do you think the Remans used the Jem'Hadar battleship uh, design as an influence for this,
Well,
and then incorporated Romulan technology?
I think since John designed both, it's
Well,
probably.
I know that. I'm trying to look at
Um,
the in-universe reason because
well,
it is after the Dominion show up. So
I mean, I would absolutely agree that the front portion, that's always bugged me a little bit. How flat, I know it's pointy, but how flat the middle bit is, the front of the middle. Like Remans, I know it's not Romulan, but Romulans have always had a pointy beak or some sort of dramatic point, but this is almost flat bit. Or I guess it's more bat-like. So that if you took out the wings, that's a very similar feel to the Dominion battleship. So I think possibly, I think they probably said, right, we need to make a ultimate battleship, just like the Dominion, and then took that big, bulky, armored feel and then did their own thing to it. So that's totally possible. But I think John just did whatever he wanted to do.
yeah,
I think this is a really excellent cruiser. A smaller ship, more maneuverable. Although the Scimitar's amazingly maneuverable. I think this is a great smaller version, but Scimitar works well as a big battle cruiser, being more integrated, I think.
yeah, yeah. This ship's available in Star Trek Online, correct?
Yes,
I think we
multiple
have a picture
versions.
of it later in
Yeah.
there. We can talk about it later then.
Okay. So the next picture is the Nemesis scale chart, which is what we talked about earlier about how the Enterprise is about the same size as the Scimitar. And it is about the same. It's not actually as big as you think it is. It's just that wingspan that really gets you. Same with the Nerixion or the Valdor. I never thought it was that big until I got the models, and it's like, wow, the wingspan's
Yeah,
huge. That's a big ship. And
yeah. I
just
thought the Valdors were much smaller when I was watching the movie than this.
yeah, no, they're. And can you imagine the turning radius though? You know, I mean that's ridiculous. But yeah, you can tell they were definitely trying to one up the Romulans in everything. I mean, it's.
Mhm.
I mean, that's actually kind of like if you look at how many points and how much detailing, it's kind of not a frightening, but it's a very aggressive, very mean looking ship. Is the Scimitar? They really hit that nail on the head, I think.
Oh, absolutely. We got a length of what, 2,920 feet? Those, yeah, feet.
Mm.
I can't read those numbers too well. But yeah, this thing is massive.
But
And yeah, I really didn't think the Valdors were that big either. I didn't even realize that till just now. I've seen this size chart a few times now, just in passing, and it never really clicked for me. When I watched the movie, I picture smaller ships for those.
yeah, I did too, and also it puts into perspective that the Valdor is a very thin, sleeked out version of the Pterodactyls. Whereas this, I mean, if you look at just how much hull there is of the Scimitar, I mean, they've got hundreds of troops, hundreds, easily. This is a very. I mean, do you remember the bridge from the movie? Like 3
It's huge.
decks.
Yeah.
It was stupidly big. That was not a good bridge. I don't think anyway. But if that's the size of the command center, the rest of the ship, I mean, and then we saw the fighter bay. A
Well,
good 80, 90 fighters. I mean, it's a. Oof.
that being said about the bridge, though, we know that we talked to Andrew Probert about the decks, and that bridge is 4 decks high in his
True.
original design.
That's a
We
great
never
point.
see that on screen. We never see that on screen, but I mean, it's kind of like the Romulan thing to have that huge control area.
And
then everything we see on screen is so small,
Mm.
but it's supposed to be designed to be so big.
No, that's a really interesting point because it's not it's tall but not thick or wide.
Yeah, exactly.
That solves me on that because I mean they're gonna Reman technology is gonna be based off Romulans. I'm sorry, we saw them in literally the only shots we saw of them because that's the only time we ever get to see them in the entire franchise. Is them being slaves on this planet, and as such, their technology is from the motherland, which is the next planet. So I don't know. I'd love to know more backstory about this ship. I know there is a lot of good stuff, and I want to learn more. I know there's been quite a lot of stuff about the Dominion War and it really doing some kick-ass things.
The full episode will be fun to do for sure on this one.
Absolutely. But the next photo is it after the crash. And it's a big ship. And again, puts into perspective, I think the Enterprise E has, 24 decks?
26?
I know they have 29 at one point, but they don't.
Yeah, I know. It might be 24. You might be right.
It does change.
Sure.
I know it changes in each movie. I know that for a fact. But again, look how thick. Look how thick that hull is. What's that? I mean, that is at least the full 24 decks of the secondary hull. I mean, that's probably 30 decks.
Easily, yeah.
But it doesn't feel out of place, which is kind of awesome.
No.
Awesomely well designed. I mean, again, I can imagine they've got like three deck high barracks as standard, just multiple throughout the ship, just for Reman ground troops. I do remember reading somewhere their Remans were used as ground troops by the Romulans, expendable ground troops. So I can imagine they.
Yep.
Yeah.
Plus, with all the weapons and torpedo whatever on there, I mean, there's lots of weapons storage. There's lots. You need a lot of room for that kind of stuff, and for all those multiple launchers.
Absolutely.
So that's not all occupied space, like livable space. I mean, it's filled up with machinery. I bet.
I mean, you've got the Enterprise Z had 250-ish torpedoes, and it lasted one battle. With the Scimitar, and that's with 9, 10 launchers, I think with the upgrades. I think it'll look less than that. And so with 60 launchers, I mean, almost 100 torpedoes per tube. You're gonna need a hell of a lot. If only they knew where they were, they could do secondary explosions galore. Be great.
Galore. Are you bringing the Cardassians into this?
Wow.
You think they need their help? Oh, you didn't mean that galore.
No, I was talking. You made a joke out of it. God. But I wish we get this model someday because I'd love to see some extra detail, but I don't think we can for a while anyway. But it's a good looking ship.
Well, next picture is the reverse shot, where when they're in orbit of Romulus anyway. You can see some of the detailing on the ship here. Not very easy to see it, but
no. But
some big windows there on the side.
Yes, the thing I wanted to point out about the ship is if you look above those glowing line of lights, there's a sort of 4 windows with stuff in. Well, if you just watch a movie, that's shimmering as if it's a Bussard or a nacelle. So I'm wondering, is that the Bussard or is that part of the warp engines? Because because there's no obvious, apart from like the Enterprise era bird of prey, like those aft spines, which are the warp engines. There's nothing overly obvious. Although I don't think we ever even see a back shot of the ship, like fully lit from the movie. But it's difficult to tell. But I don't know where the warp engines are or anything. I don't know.
I need to rewatch the movie again. I'm really interested in seeing this ship a little bit more again. They look like the Arboretum windows from the refit though.
But with death plasma inside.
Yes.
With anthrax inside, liquid anthrax. But yeah, I mean, just lots of lights, lots of things happening. It's a busy looking ship and with a lot of detail. But yeah, that's it really for this picture. So that is it for this week's Trekyards, guys. Hope you loved it.
Tune in again for the continuation. Keep your eyes peeled because it's coming.
Ooh, looking forward to it.
Me too.
3-3.
Bye, everybody.